Welcome back to YoSpill, and in today's video we are going to do some Neon 2.4 testing. I know you guys have seen all the reels I've posted on Facebook. If you don't follow me on Facebook, go follow me on Facebook. Our goal is 100,000 followers. We hit 10,000 on YouTube. I'm kind of cross path posting, trying to get both to keep growing. The Neon content seems to work well. The race versus the Neon 2.4 swap versus the K24 swapped Integra went pretty viral. I think it was at 300,000 or 400,000 views last time I looked. But obviously the Neon needed a 65 shot to even be comparable to a K24 swap. So in today's video, we swapped a all-motor mic intake manifold on it, which is a much bigger intake manifold, much better runners, ported, bigger throttle body. I'll flip the camera around here in a second and show you. And today on the dyno, we're going to do a comparison of when we first put the 2.4 in the car and it made 133 horsepower to what it makes with your all-motor mic intake with your MPX throttle body. And then we are going to do the TTI long tube with a 2.5-inch mandrel bent exhaust going to a vibrant ultra-quiet muffler. We're going to get rid of the Ricer exhaust. Right now it has a resonator, 2.25-inch maybe DNA something eBay exhaust with a fart can off the back. Sounds horrible. I do not like the way it sounds, but it is what came on our 2.4 swap car that I showed you in the videos when I was doing it. The black car came with this exhaust, so we took it off. We put everything that we needed off of that car besides obviously the motor that was no good. Put it in here with the Chrysler Series motor that we got out of the junkyard car. I believe the Chrysler Series made 104 on the dyno. With the automatic, open header, open intake, that's the most power it would make. We did, I think, 5 or 6 pulls, cutting the exhaust off, changing intakes, doing everything we could. Stuck it right in the Neon, dual cam intake manifold off of a 2-liter dual cam Neon. This eBay header, this eBay exhaust, and the Mopar Performance ECU with Mustang injectors in it. And it made 133 horsepower, 140 foot-pounds of torque. Our goal today, after some pulls and some modifications, is to try to crack 145 to 150 wheel and 145 to 150 wheel torque. We know it's going to lose some torque with a big intake and a big exhaust, but our goal is to make it even at 150, 150. Obviously, a NYG 95 Neon is about 300 pounds lighter than a GSR Integra. So if we can get this car to gain 30 horsepower, we'll try to race it without the nitrous, and then we'll use the nitrous to make it even. I've also done some tuning on the Integra. The Integra makes another 20 wheel horsepower more than it made when we raced before. So in the end, it'll probably be a very similar race, but both cars will be faster. So let's get into it. Let me flip the camera around and show you the car if you haven't seen it already in the videos. Alright guys, so this is your first video here at YoSpill. We are a dyno in central Pennsylvania. We do rentals. I do not tune for other people. I get that question all the time. These are all me and my brother's personal cars. 2.4, 420A Mitsubishi cylinder head, turbo, PT/GT, turbo. There's an SXT4 up there, which is a base model Neon with a turbo motor. But the NYG is a 95. It is a Mopar Performance dual cam ECU. It now has a all motor mic dual cam intake manifold. It has a MPX throttle body. These engines, I get a lot of questions about what did you need to swap this motor into the car. The wiring harness and everything literally plugs and plays. You have to extend a few sensors. Other than that, it will work. You need the dual cam mounts out of a dual cam Neon. So you need a 2-liter dual cam Neon mount kit to make a 2.4 fit in your Neon. And then you basically swap everything. It's kind of just a lot of swapping parts. Your single cam transmission fits your dual cam. You don't need to buy a different transmission. Clutch, flywheel, everything fits. These 2.4s, you need to buy a 95 to 99 cloud car. Your minivan, your Chrysler Series, your Sebring, that's how you get one of these 2.4s. That is plug and play. The newer ones are not plug and play. Different ECU style, different crank sensor style. They are not plug and play. If you want your stock single cam 95 to 99 Neon to have this 2.4 in it, you need a 95 to 99 2.4 liter, and you need the 95 to 99 dual cam mounts. So now that I got all that out of the way, when you do your 2.4 swap, you can use your 2-liter dual cam intake manifold. You can use your 2-liter dual cam header. Obviously, we already did that. We dynoed it. It doesn't make a lot of power. We're trying to go faster. So, dual cam Mopar ECU for a 95. These are Mustang injectors with adapters so that the air fuels are right, because you need approximately, I think it's 20% more fuel. It's kind of like E85, but you just need more fuel because of the bigger displacement motor. We took the stock manifold off, all motor mic. This is a MPX throttle body. Right now it has a DNA little header on it, as you can see right there. And then it has your 2 1/4 inch ricer exhaust. You know, the ricer exhaust with the fart pipe. This car has been boosted before. In the video you've seen on Facebook that got over 1 million views. Thank you again for the 1 million views. It ran a 360 horsepower caliber. They were dead even. At that time, this single cam made 212 horsepower. It was a junkyard single cam on, I believe, 9 or 10 pounds of boost on E85. And that shows you the power to weight difference. But today we're trying to get this thing to be equal to the Integra. We're going to aim for the 150 horsepower mark. Still have your stock neon interior. Everything works as intended because your harness and everything belongs to the car. We're going to do the header test after we do a dyno test with this intake manifold. For the header, we have a TTI long tube. We have a 2 1/2 inch mandrel bent exhaust, which used to be on this car when it was turboed. It's going to go back on this car, and we're going to see the gains. So from 2 1/4 ricer header, or DNA header, to a TTI 2 1/2, and an all motor mic. Before it made 133 horsepower, 140 foot-pounds of torque. Leave down in the comments what you think it's going to make after that. And then we do have a 65 shot of nitrous if we need it to make over 200 will. And that'll happen sooner or later on the dyno, but we don't really care about that today. We just want to see the difference. All motor mic, TTI. Stay tuned. The noise, we gained nothing. So we did gain a lot of mid-range. There's 11 to 12 wheel in the mid-range, and obviously it pulls a lot farther up top than the factory dual cam intake manifold. But yeah, the peak numbers are 0.04 horsepower more, and it actually makes less torque. So yeah, your stock 2.4 does not need an all motor mic intake manifold. Obviously, for nitrous or boost, it will work. But a stock compression, stock cam, everything 2.4, you don't really need to spend the money for an all-motor mic. Just put nitrous on your stock intake manifold and have fun. Now, let's try the TTI and the 2 1/2 mandrel bent. You don't need to see me video on how to put an exhaust on the car. It's very simple. But we got to let it cool down now after we just done that pull. So I'll be back in a minute and show you the exhaust on the car, and then we'll do another pull and see what we gain. Alright guys, so we got our dial caliber here. This is the eBay 2 1/2 inch DNA exhaust. This is the mandrel bent 2 1/2. So we're going to take our dial caliber here and actually measure the difference. As you can tell, this one's old and rusty. We have, if you can see right there, that is right at 2 1/4. 2.45, 2.5. So this is about 2 1/2 OD. This is about 2 1/4 OD. So you're only going up about a 1/4 inch. But yeah, your eBay 2 1/2 inch exhaust is actually not 2 1/2 inch exhaust, as expected for eBay quality. And now we got to work on getting the header off. We got the whole exhaust off. The reason why this thing does sound so shitty is there's literally nothing in this muffler. So that is basically what a resonator only 2.4 neon will sound like. Absolutely disgusting. Do not do that. Put an exhaust on your car. Hopefully with a real muffler we actually gain even more torque, because now we're going to have some resonation and muffling of the actual noise coming out of the back of the car. Now this is the standard style where it actually turns and makes 290s. This is a ghetto eBay style where it goes straight out the back. So your factory neon, your exhaust actually goes back 90 muffler and then out the back, so that you have your standard exhaust tip. Neither, actually I don't think any of my neons have the full factory exhaust, but it'll come up over the sway bar, right here, your muffler hangs in the middle, and then your exhaust actually comes out about right here. So normally you'll see the cars with the burnt spot right here from the exhaust. The eBay exhaust obviously exits on the driver's side. Your factory exhaust will exit on the passenger side. Let's get to getting the header off, and then we'll show a little comparison of that, and then we'll put the new system on the car. All right, so here is our DNA eBay dual overhead cam header. Here is our TTI. As you can tell, the biggest difference is the primary length of the tubes. Stainless, much nicer header. China material, very short. The bottom of this header pretty much meets the bottom of the shifter, and then it gives you a much more clearance for your O2 sensor and everything. It obviously gives you a lot better reading on your O2 sensor, because instead of running off of one port on one cylinder, you're actually in the collector and you have all 4 ports. The eBay DNA exhaust, where it goes into the muffler, is exactly 2 inches. So you have a decent 2 1/4, 2.5 inch header, a decent 2 1/4, 2.5 inch exhaust with a resonator. But when it gets back to the muffler section, on the inside, it is literally only 2 inches. The 2.5 inch mandrel bent exhaust in the TTI, the smallest point will be 2.5 inch. So we are gaining about 1/2 of an inch in total diameter, which if you do that times pi, it is a lot of surface area. So the car should breathe a lot better up top. And with the all-motor mic intake, it was already able to rev another like 600 RPMs and still carry the power band. So even if this doesn't make much more peak power, it should make a much longer and smoother power band, because you have your primary tubes with a lot longer before it hits the collector, and you have a lot more surface area of the exhaust. Now, let's get to the fun of sliding this up in the back of the motor, which on Neons is actually not that bad, because your exhaust is on the back and your intake is on the front like a K-Series Honda. So you actually have a decent amount of room, and this goes between the subframe and the car, unlike a Honda where your header goes under the subframe in the car, which causes a lot of Hondas to get dents in the bottom of the exhaust manifolds because the header is aimed directly at the ground. Let's get the swapping this on, and then we'll get a startup sound clip of it. TTI long tube and 2.5 inch mandrel bent exhaust, vibrant, ultra quiet. Oh wow, it's so quiet. At this point, it doesn't even matter if it makes more power. It sounds so much better. For a long tube header and a full exhaust with just one muffler, not bad. Alright guys, so we did the pool with the new exhaust and the new header. As expected, I didn't think it was going to gain that much. It is a lot bigger, but the stock motor doesn't need that much air. We went from 133 horsepower to 137 horsepower, so a gain of 4 horsepower at peak. And we went from 140 horsepower to 147 foot-pounds of torque. And just for you guys, the nitrous kit is still on this car, the intake and everything. This is a wet 65 shot with a nitrous bottle at room temperature, no torching, nothing crazy. So on the next hit, you're gonna get about 3,800 RPMs, 4,000. And as soon as I see it click 4,200, I'm gonna spray it. And we're gonna aim for right at 200 wheel horsepower. I think with a 65 shot, the 135 horsepower, 137 horsepower, it should make 200 on a dot, and it will probably make 210 wheel torque or something close to that. Well, boys, after the nitrous hit, oh, let's look at the graph. The graph is going to look insane. As you see, the yellow pool is the nitrous pool. So I hit the kit right around 4,500 RPMs. We made a total of 199.17 horsepower, 212 foot-pounds of torque. So, obviously if I heat the bottle, we'll get a little more bottle pressure. We'll get well into the 200 horsepower range. And remember, this is a bone stock 2.4 that we took out of a Chrysler that only made 104 horsepower in the Chrysler. Through the automatic with the open header and the stock intake manifold. So we are now up 33 horsepower. We are now up 40 wheel torque with just bolt-ons. And then obviously with the nitrous kit, it puts us almost 100 wheel horsepower up from what we started with. And it puts us 106 foot-pounds of torque up from what we started with. Now what we got to do, get this thing unstrapped, make sure there's nothing rubbing, make sure everything is great. If you enjoyed this video, until the next one, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the Facebook. 100,000 followers is what we're aiming for the Facebook. We hit our 10,000 on YouTube. Next goal is 20,000 on YouTube. We're going to stick to the Dodge content, the Turbo Dodge content, and the Turbo Honda content. And soon we'll get to the K-Swap content on the Accord. As always, thank you for watching, and until the next one, you guys are the greatest.